For those who are more anxious, my friends, and it's natural for everyone to feel this anxiety with the absurd things that are happening here. Yesterday, the United States was once again clear about the issue of organizations that have taken over several countries by force, criminal organizations. Everything is happening just as they have already been predicting in the United States regarding their relationship with Venezuela. There was something that ended up happening here in Brazil, which was a blow to the left. Lula, Sol, and all those people, all of them. Because they will be relentless with criminal organizations. They will first do a test run over there in Venezuela. They're going to remove Maduro. It's a matter of days. It's something that has to be done very well, very carefully planned. You don't overthrow a regime overnight. Just like what's happening here in Brazil, a regime, a dictatorship, of course, much newer than, for example, over there in Venezuela. But look at how difficult it is when you see a power takeover. Just like it happened in Venezuela, the same modus operandi. What's happening here has already happened there. In fact, they imported it from there to do it here. That's why Brazil is totally out of control, because in the past we always used to hear two things about Brazil: a country of taxes, a country of crime. Isn't that right? Now things have gotten out of hand. They've gotten so out of hand that it's impossible. Crime has taken over, because it's obvious when you have a guy who was arrested, who has no morals, who has no reputation in the community, an unconvicted man who in reality has always been guilty. That's what happens. Just so you have an idea, we're going to show it here as well. Even Europe has been recognizing the dictatorship that exists here in Brazil. I'll show you everything here. The video is spectacular. Hit that like button, smash that like button, and come be a part of our family. There's a lot of news and information about everything that's happening. Check this out. We've already started for you. Trump has decided to overthrow Maduro's regime and is already planning the first 100 hours after the fall. What will Venezuela be like after the regime of this nefarious guy here? How is it going to be? The one reporting this news is none other than the New York Times. They were the ones who brought this news about the complete overthrow. Trump is considering attacking cartels that tried to enter the United States by land. This is already a fact. Another thing. Trump yesterday fired 100,000 federal public employees, the largest mass layoff in recent times, in fact of all time, in the history of the United States. 100,000 employees. I hope, right? Employees who were doing absolutely nothing, because they're unlike here. When a president makes a decision, there's no Supreme Court to challenge it. In Brazil, if go a PSOL, PT, a PCdoB, and all of them, they win every intervention, no matter who arrives, without losing a single one. By the way, for those who believe that the United States isn't even aware of Fachin's decision, back then, that the police couldn't go up the hill to fight criminals and so on. They already know all about this. They already know absolutely everything that's been happening. They're about to take it down. Look, here it is. More news here, people commenting on all the information. Because the United States Embassy yesterday brought extremely important news that refers to here in Brazil, the government, the United States Embassy in Brazil. Sending a clear message here. The Trump administration will weaken, dismantle, eliminate foreign terrorist organizations. We will free the Western Hemisphere from the control of narco-terrorists, that is, drug traffickers, criminal groups. He didn't just talk about Venezuela. It's a message for Brazil, because the Los Soles cartel from Venezuela is a very powerful drug organization, but the groups here in Brazil are even more powerful. And now they've realized that they're extremely organized. That's what this is. It's very important for you to understand. The Trump administration will weaken, dismantle, and eliminate foreign terrorist organizations. It's going to happen. Imagine when these individuals start getting caught. There will be so many plea bargains from politicians who have been supported by these organizations. You can't even imagine. And you can be sure and rest easy. From the right, you know very well there's no involvement here. The true right, I'm talking about those we know very well, real right wing. Look at the situation here, right? This is a message, even at the United States Embassy, etc. As you can see, Department of State, they're watching everything. That's where the point I wanted to make comes in. Bolsonaro supporters want to corner the PT with a bill against the criminal group called Primeiro Comando da Capital and the Comando Vermelho. Leaders allied with President Bolsonaro are preparing a response to the PT after Lula's party took up the anti-corruption narrative for itself. Man, you have to be really shameless. Made of wood for the PT to talk about fighting corruption, right? But they're capable of anything. It's the PT. Opposition leaders say the plan is to label criminal groups like the Primeiro Comando da Capital and Comando Vermelho as terrorists under the bill. Pressure PT members about the security agenda. You'll see. Stay tuned. The plan is to use the PT's expected opposition to the proposal to shift the situation. The PT will vote against it. That way, voters could be convinced that Lula's party doesn't truly fight crime. There were those nefarious artists. Against the shielding amendment, what they want is to spread corruption in the country, since most of the corrupt people are part of their entire party. See how things are. As Paulo Capelli's column in Metropolis showed, Congressman Nicolas Ferreira, known for his strong social media presence, was supposed to be the project's rapporteur, but he exceeded expectations. Nicolas gave the rapporteurship to Derrite. He's currently the Secretary of Justice here in São Paulo, right? And he's also a federal deputy. So, it's in his hands. Do you think it will be hard for Derrite to get these organizations classified as terrorist groups? That's all Trump needs. Instead of Trump having to step in and classify these groups as terrorists, it's better for the country to do it. And in this case, Derrite, Nicolas told Paulo Capelli's column that he gave Guilherme Derrite the rapporteurship of the case. I was offered this rapporteurship, but I can tell you that this week Captain Derrite asked me for this project. And he's the one who's going to work on it. Let's remember that he had already managed the issue of the prison leaves. But then they decided at the Supreme Court that the prison leave would only apply to those who are imprisoned now. Before, it wasn't valid. This is one of the outrageous things we see in Brazil. The congressman also discussed the threats. There was also not only the context of threats that had been coming before, but also the security structure they have. And that he, Derrite, as Secretary of Public Security, as we know, today we receive various threats from different places, specifically related to organized crime. The request to designate the Primeiro Comando da Capital and Comando Vermelho as terrorists had been formalized by the United States, but the Lula government and Lewandowski refused, claiming it was inconsistent with Brazilian law. I wonder why, right? These days, they just came out that Lewandowski's son used to and still does work as a lawyer for a company related to the Primeiro Comando da Capital guys. Not that he has anything to do with it, no, nothing like that, but it's absurd, right? It's absurd. He's a lawyer for the company there. He's also a lawyer in the case of Lewandowski's son for entities that took money from the workers. I'm going to stay quiet, okay? I won't say anything else. According to a member of the Trump administration, the classification would make investigations and police operations easier. It would also allow detainees linked to gangs to be sent to the Centro de Confinamiento del Terrorismo prison in El Salvador, which is intended only for purists. Did you notice Derrite here? If he succeeds in this mission, he will work full-time with the United States. Understand, he could, since he has roots here in São Paulo, he could work together, and those officers could be here in Brazil, here in São Paulo possibly. We saw what happened with the police chief and the United States capturing those individuals. Are they going to send them to El Salvador? With Bukele at Centro de Confinamiento del Terrorismo, they built multiple prisons to house everyone. Guys, they're screwed. Very screwed, but they're really screwed because plea bargains are really going to start coming out. The United States wants to crush them, so let them. Now they're saying Lula is Trump's best friend. See how the press tries to convince you? Man, look. And the guy's terrified of going to the United States. No, it has to be a meeting over the phone. Call Trump. I'm afraid to go there. I'm afraid.
There won't be any diapers in stock for me to take. I'm going to crap myself in your mud White House room.
And that's a fact. He meant Janja, and she couldn't even get in. Look, everyone. In this case, what Nicholas says.
Did you receive threats after Charlie Kirk was assassinated in the United States? Did people online also threaten you? Does this initiative of yours to pass the bill and this law project report to Derrite also involve your personal safety?
See?
So he talked to me at first, actually requesting this project. But of course, there was also a context not only of threats that had already been coming before, but also of the security structure. Today, as a congressman, I have it, and he, as São Paulo's Secretary of Public Security, does too. Police there had both intelligence and combat units at his disposal. A very different structure from what I have now. Both issues happened at the same time. We know that today we receive various threats from different places. When it comes to organized crime, don't mistake courage for recklessness. So both my desire to understand and the fact that the timing, the moment, may not be ideal came together. Captain Derrite, who has long fought organized crime and has the necessary structure, should become the new rapporteur for this project.
Both personal security and expertise from long-term experience are key to fighting criminal organizations. And these two factors weighed in your choice. And how was your conversation yesterday with Captain Derrite?
So basically today we have a reality, Paulo, that many people, I believe most Brazilians, are actually afraid to mention the names of these criminal organizations. We recently saw the police chief who, after years and years...
See? Derrite, just so you understand here, is one of the operations with 25 warrants in the big capital. That operation that happened, Hidden Carbon and so on, what they did, guys, started with Geico here in São Paulo. It wasn't the federal police, who went after it. No, it wasn't. It started with Geico here in São Paulo with Derrite. Those guys, look, mismanagement from where? From a guy who farts crooked in a vacuum, the mismanagement of a guy like that. Those guys still try to steal the spotlight from the true team members, the police. And things are... São Paulo is the flagship of the country. Things are only not worse than in Brazil as a whole. You might say, no, but it's not all wonderful in São Paulo. No, I agree. But it's only not worse because of this right here, look. Because of this here, that's why it's not worse. What is this? The São Paulo military police. Things are only not worse thanks Derrite and the São Paulo military police, because things would be much worse otherwise. It's extremely complicated because of these men here who are leaving the barracks. It's Tobias Aguirre thanks to these men. And they deserve the credit because it was through them, through Geico here in São Paulo, that everything was revealed. It wasn't Lula. And I'm not saying this because we abhor these people, no. It's because that's how it was. And we have to give credit where it's due so that justice is done. Derrite can't speak, but we can speak for him. This is Derrite, who he is. To understand him, here he is as a military police officer. See who Derrite is.
Be careful with those girls there, 14 years old, that you're hanging around with here. If you go back to jail for pedophilia, it'll be quick, you hear? I'll come after you. If the girl says he abused me, you're going to jail.
This is Derrite. This is Derrite. Years ago. That's why he became a congressman. That's why he's such a powerhouse in public security. Damn, he's really tough. And now I bring to you... Calm down, guys. I was about to bring it here. Over in Europe, look at how things are going.
This is Federal Deputy Jose Medeiros. I'm here at the European Parliament. And for those who think Brazil is in a state of democratic normality, I found a Brazilian here. I met a Brazilian who has an asylum passport. He was recognized, and he's going to talk with us here. Take a look at the passport.
I'm journalist Didi Red Pill. Here's my Polish passport. Actually, it's a Swiss-Polish refugee passport. Poland views Brazil as undemocratic, or they wouldn't have granted me political asylum.
That's for those who think it's normal for Eduardo Bolsonaro to be notified by public notice. For those who still deny it, here's proof. Didi Red Pill is now officially an asylum seeker in another country. This is truly a shame for Brazil.
Poland has recognized Didi as a political asylum seeker. Europe, Poland, and Switzerland. The noose is tightening for these characters and the truth is coming out. Great Congressman Medeiros. Friends, it's just a matter of time. Let's hold on to our anxiety a bit longer. Bringing down a dictatorship isn't easy, but things are happening. And I'll say it again, I won't get tired of saying it. Be thankful day and night. Trump is the United States president. Things have changed and more news is coming. I'll show you what's happening. Hit the like button. That arrow helps with engagement here, okay? And come be part of our family here on the Pais e Filhos channel.